like you? How come you do me like you do? I wrote that last part, but the rest I didn't write. It was written by some man named Marion in the 1920s. Thank you. I was Marco.
All right, so while Marco's getting his body moved over here, let's just have a quick synopsis of what I expect out of you as my viewers. Community is important. Economy is important. Lifestyles are important. In order to integrate all of those three things together, we have to support one another. Love first, take care of your neighbors and your family, and buy local. If you buy in your local community, you're supporting your local community. If you support local musicians, they'll buy stuff in the local community. It all just comes back to us. If every community supported their own local community, the economy in the United States would grow immensely. Let's just do it here. Set an example for the rest of this sad, sad country. Support your local community. Buy at mom and pop shops. Buy at the local grinder and deli shop. They live here and they work here. Buy at the Eyeglass Last on State Street. She's doing a great job there. Go down to the Hygienic and buy some art. Great stuff. Support your local community. Buy stuff in your neighborhood. Keep the money there. And now let's talk to Marco. That's my spiel.
Nice spiel, Doc.
I do that every show because it's so important.
You left out if we buy local, gas prices will come down.
They are coming down. I saw gas for $1.99 the other day. I almost died. I was like, I never thought I'd see that in my life again.
1992, I found out an economic issue that the U.S. and Japan had walked into. It was a trade agreement. All soybeans were going to be cut in the U.S. and shipped to Japan. All soybeans growing in Japan would be cut there and shipped to the U.S. The U.S. would process the soybeans that the Japanese had grown. Are you following me here, Dot?
I'm following you. It doesn't
and then
make sense.
the Japanese would process the beans that people in the U.S. had grown. So then they would ship it one more time
back to us
across the Pacific or the Atlantic, whichever was more convenient for them, and we would purchase the finished product that we had grown somewhere here in the United States, processed in Japan.
Why?
And made for our market.
Why?
The Teamsters were worried about being cut out of certain over-the-road jobs and across-the-ocean jobs, and they asked for a way to use more fossil fuels.
I got nothing.
So anyways, if we buy those same soy products locally from some farmer's market or a place like Fiddleheads that were grown up the road from us or across the state from us or across the next town.
Now, I don't want
then we're not burning fossil fuels.
Right, but I don't want the Teamsters to lose their job. A lot of things really wouldn't happen without them, but ship it across the sea, whatever. Let's talk about you.
Me. Why me?
Because I have wanted you on my program forever. Like, this show is over a year old now, and I've been asking you to be on it since day one. I really have, right? Right. And you stand on some very, very real and hard ethics, especially when it comes to your music. I've had young kids say to me that they feel like they've earned their due because they've been playing since they were little kids. I'm not going to name who those people are, but when do you think a musician has paid his dues? I mean, where is it that a person gets to a place where they've paid their dues and they feel like, I don't ever have to play for free ever again?
I'm still paying my dues.
But you stand very strong on the fact that you are going to get paid if you play. And I so respect that. The only thing, I pay you here, but not with cash. I pay you with you know what you get paid with. And it's a good thing. But I wish that more and more people would understand the concept of paying our local musicians. Why would you ask a musician to play for free? I don't get that.
I know when I was 17, 18, 19-ish, and the drinking age was 18 in Groton, New London, Waterford area, club owners would get you to come play for $100 or for free or for $50 or gas money or whatever. And they'd always say to the kids, I was a kid then, it's an exposure gig, it's an exposure gig. That's fine if that's the first 100 gigs you've done or the first 20 gigs you've done or the first 3 gigs you've done.
Right.
You're hoping some club owner will come in and see you, or someone
producer
at
or
Sony Red or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
will come in and happen to be buying a drink there and go, oh man, we have to have this guy on our label, and the club owner's trying to leverage that and say, I can help you get discovered because you'll be here in my club. But if 30 years go by and the same club owner, I'm not saying any names either because it's not just him or her or them or whoever,
Right.
but that same person's asking all those same people and all the new people, come play for nothing, it's an exposure gig, or I'll pay your whole band $100.
Right.
$100 means you had a great gig, you're all excited, and you went out to an all-night diner and you blew the entire $100 having one meal each.
Right. Yeah. It just doesn't get it. Now, when did you start playing music?
Guitar at 13-ish, singing when I was really little. There was a group called Little Singers out of Eastern Point School, which was a K-6 back then, and it's now what we know as the Marine Science Magnet School in Groton, close to Pfizer.
Yeah.
And there was a woman with a piano, and she played standards and new songs, old songs, and it must have been 30 or 40 of us. It felt like there were hundreds of us all singing church choir style, but some churchish music and then a lot of secular music. I'd like to teach the world to sing, and Jeremiah had a bullfrog and all that. In fact, I got to tell you about this.
Okay, you can tell me about anything
I
you
was
want,
somewhere between soprano and tenor, maybe, as a little kid. And I got a solo, and it was Joy to the World by Three Dog Night. And I got up there, and she started playing the piano. I think we had a drummer, too, at that time. And we're rocking out, and older girls had dressed me up. I had, like, the frilly leather and cowboy boots and all that on. And I got up there, and I was so nervous, I sang the same note the entire time. I was in key. The rhythm was perfect. My timing was perfect. I was with the tempo and everything. But it was literally, Jeremiah was a bullfrog. He had a good friend of mine. Never understood a single word he said, but I helped him in drinking his wine. And they loved it. They loved it. It was adorable. It was wonderful. And it was entertaining.
Yeah. Where do you think
But it was one note.
Where,
and I was trained.
Where do you think you get that innate need to entertain? More so than even write songs. I love your songwriting. I think it's unique and not normal. And I love that about you. But you're an entertainer. And I tell people that all the time, that you're one of the best entertainers I've ever met. Where do you think that comes from in you?
It's just having something to say and wondering how you're going to say it. Does it have to be me going, hello, I'm in a good mood, or hello, I'm in a bad mood, or here's an oration about leftist politics, or conservative family values, or breaking away from England, whatever, or can it be a little ditty? That song I did, I think just warming up, maybe I didn't present it, was Mary Had a William Goat, which Mary Had a Little Ham became from that, was in the halls of Congress of the United States at a time when left and right of the aisle, they sang to each other. And there was something to do with zinc and tin and mining going on. 1790s or something, 1810s, whenever this was. And someone stood up and sang this song, Mary Had a William Goat. I don't even know who William is. I'd love to research that ethnomusicologically someday. But he was singing that across the aisle to the other people that were going to vote for tin or against zinc, or for zinc and against tin, whatever. And those lyrics were used as a jingle or a ditty. It can't be delivered any other way.
Right.
You know,
it's
if
awesome.
he stood up and just banged his fists on the table and said, I'm making this up, but you are going to start mining this one item instead of this other item. It's going to destroy this country, the very fabric of our country. And everyone's like, yeah. Right. I've heard it. Tell me again.
Right.
You know, I won't even bring the issues now that I could be saying that out loud and saying, oh, we can't do this, or oh, we have to do that.
Right.
You throw it in a jingle.
And
people listen. They're
do.
open to it, even if they're against it. They open up, and then they'll defend their view from what you've said, and
right.
It just feels so much more effective. And I don't know when I learned that. My dad was a DJ in the 50s. He was playing other people's songs all the time. It was probably little jingles in between the 3.5-minute songs.
Do you use the humor that you brought to the show today to teach?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you bring your guitar and I'm the sub today, and we're going to listen to some guitar music?
Well, you can't quite do it that way, but you play a ditty, and then you tell them, you know, all the other classroom management issues around the room and everything, that if things go well, you'll do one more song at the end. Something like that. So
and
they get
like
about
that.
2 songs, and they love it, and they respond to it and open up to that.
Oh, kids always respond to music. I think it's the finest teaching tool that there is. So I think that's a great
Mm-hmm.
thing. I'm thinking that you could be a history teacher, but only teach it in music.
Ooh,
and that all the kids that hate the history would be down with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My grandson hates history. You know, Shawnee, he hates history. But I think if he was learning it from you in music, he'd be all over it.
I think my only F+ at University of Connecticut was a history class, and I had to retake and all that jazz.
Yeah, Shawnee's got a grade that's not an F, but it's there.
Yeah. DC's, but then the early 90s came along, and I helped to make history,
So tell us about that now.
Well,
to make history.
We
Let's
walked
talk
across
about
the country from, I was going to say South Dakota, from San Francisco to D.C.
Mm-hmm.
I joined the group in Black Mesa, Arizona, which is close to the Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah border. They had started January 1st, and it was a penitential reflection on Columbus. Did he discover it? Did he invade it? Did he bump into it? Was he lost? Did he have another agenda? Was there a different agenda besides Spain? We've learned more recently that he was working for, it's not Portugal, but someone had heard from Vikings that had already been up and down the East Coast,
Right.
that, you know, and if you go here, talk to so-and-so, they like us, they'll trust you, you go there. And he was trying to get to America.
Well,
But he never made it as far. He got to
the
Puerto
Vikings
Rico-ish.
and the Norsemen had already been here and seen what could happen. And I think that this year, more than years before, the whole Columbus discrepancy, let's just put it
Nice
that way.
word.
Should we give him the credit that he's been given, or should we? So somehow we keep running out of time. I'm not sure how that happens.
Well, long story short, our mayor added a multicultural day on the 13th, I think,
Yes,
or something,
yes.
to the Columbus Day. A couple other entire states have declared Multicultural Day instead of Columbus Day.
And I think that's fabulous. And you're going to take us out with a song that's on your CD, which we can get at
marcosongs.com. It's on CD, baby.
marcosongs.com.
Reverb Nation, iTunes, the works. Yep.
Marco's everywhere. His music is phenomenal. He's got a whole bunch of songs. And if you want to know more, check him out. He's so much fun. And songs that you didn't hear today, I mean, he just does so many fun songs. And they come out of that mind. Who knows? Who knows what goes on inside that head? But he's a lot of fun. Thank you for coming, Marco, especially the way that you did on the last minute. Come back again, and we'll talk more about history and music and you and music.
Neat.
Take us out, my dear.
This song's called Chiapaneca. It literally means, from Spanish, girl from Chiapas.